as a black man, you're the newest version of the oldest human technology. So that's a lot of data you have already inside of you. So don't let anybody limit how far that can go. As long as you're respectful, as long as you're humble, and as long as your heart is right, don't limit yourself to learning anything.
You are the
That's
newest.
one of the greatest. That's one of the advice.
Listen,
That's something I would give to a young
that is
person.
a gem, ladies and gentlemen. You are the newest version of the latest piece of old technology. You heard that gem here first. That's illa. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I will add to by saying, wherever you're from is where you're from, but it's not your home. You don't know where your home is going to be, where you're going to lay down and make the newest version of the next model coming out. So don't limit yourself to your creativity or your vision. And if you don't have vision, there's people around you who do. Attach yourself to someone who can get you to the place you need to be so you can harvest the way you need to. Because where you're from is not necessarily going to be your home. I hope that.
Can I add on to what you just said? That was a
Absolutely.
beautiful. I want to say what people have to realize, and I've also said this before, but you're not just a citizen of your neighborhood. You're not just a citizen of your family. You're a global citizen. And beyond that, you're a citizen of the universe. As soon as you step outside your house, you're not just in America or France, or you're in the universe. There is no doors on any of this stuff. So your awareness should be, for lack of a better expression, you should be prepared to talk to an alien. You know what I'm saying? It's like you should just have your mind so vast and not limited to where you live, because you are literally a part of a galactic collective. So your mind should just be extremely open to learning things. Anything that can enhance your life, embrace it and learn it.
So we have our antennas up now. We're receiving all communication from the masses. Help me understand. Do you have a vision board?
No, I don't, but I do advise people to have them. I don't have a vision board, but there are definitely things you should do. I understand the power of it, but you definitely should have a vision board. If not physically, definitely have a vision of what you want in your mind. But I definitely advise people doing that, because the power of imagery, the power of being able to see a certain image every day, definitely does some subconscious programming to you. So I definitely advocate for
I definitely believe that you do have a vision board. I think you probably don't call it one because what you speak of stepping out into the universe and having all doors open, that's a vision right there. So I just want
them. I agree.
everybody just to pay attention to that as you go as far as your mind goes. And you can push your mind and your body to different places you can never imagine. Now I hear you speak of going out and being a person of vision, going out being a person of abundance. What type of affirmations are you telling yourself every day?
Um, Telling myself it's all right. Telling myself to, you know, be in the moment. Um, Not to look too far behind, not to look too far ahead. Just be extremely present. Tell myself that I am a success. That I am loved. Just basic affirmation, just to remind yourself of who you are. You know what I mean? Just real basic elements. And definitely try to stay in the moment. Realize that you create your own happiness. It's not outside of you. Things that you can't control, why worry about it? Why stress about it? It's more than affirmations. It's a constant conversation when it comes to me, because I feel like everybody has to go about it in a different way. And I'm really big on organic thought. And I really like to just speak to myself. No one knows me the way I know me. And you could see another affirmation that someone says, but you really know what's going on with you better than anybody if you're honest with yourself. And I try to speak to those insecurities in myself, speak to those second guesses. I don't always succeed. Sometimes I second guess myself just like everybody else, but I try to keep a constant conversation with my inner self.
I think the biggest thing that you said, I don't think your affirmations are basic if you allow me to add to that because we all need to know that we're okay. And in the smallest places in our hearts, we deal with that adversity every day, whether we subscribe to it or unsubscribe to it, subconsciously and right in front of you. It's all sub, and then it becomes a surface thing when you strike a nerve of intuition or attitude or anger inside of you. How did you find out that you were this bright, intelligent, philosophical person? But did you, because, and I don't know exactly of your upbringing, but for me, and I want to be anecdotal here, I didn't know that I was bright. I didn't know that I had a different foresight of vision to speak the way that I do. And now that I hear you speak, I know there was a point where you said, wait a minute, I understand these words a little bit better. Wait a minute, I see this vision breaking down a little bit better than the counterparts around me. When did you realize that your gift of anomaly was important and that it was in you?
To be honest, and I'm not really trying to be funny, but ever since I was a child,
No,
you know,
please speak on it.
since I was a little boy, you know what I mean? Not to get spooky, tell too much of my business, but my mother and father, before I was, you know, my mother's from Harlem, my father's from Newark. You know, they met at a house party. You know, they both was, you know, dibbling, dabbling, and they had drugs in their past, and they found religion. They found Christianity, and it stirred their faith. And you know, after going through, you know, different things back and forth, they got married, they had me, and they raised me in the church. But before I was born, the doctor told at the time, based on my mother's drug use, if you were to see my mother, she don't have no tracks, no arms. She's a miracle. She beat 2 strokes. She's a walking miracle. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? You wouldn't know nothing is wrong with her if you see nothing. You know what I mean? I never seen her take drugs. She was done with that before I was even born. But
Right.
this is what happened. This is what preceded my birth. I say about 10 years or so. The doctor told my mother that her womb was corrupted, and they told her she couldn't have children. So she started at the church she was attending. The minister told her that, you know, I don't know what the devil told you, but somebody in this crowd, that God told me you was gonna have a child, and don't believe what the doctor told you. And my mother, she clung to that message, and she got pregnant. So at the time I was born, in the place where I was, it was a big deal because my mother, they was new. I don't know if people know about the church, but when you in the church, it's something about it's the energy that's with new members. Like when new members come to the church and they're young,
Yeah.
they kind of get a lot of they bring a little pizzazz to the church. Sometimes they could be, you know, popular or drawn to because they have a different energy, especially a church that with a lot of older people, whatever. So at the time, my mother was a part of her, my father was a part of a group of people that was just a new young group of people in their late 20s, early 30s coming to this church. So they was like the remnant of that. So when I was born, it was just a big deal. It was like, oh, the new, young, energetic couple. Doctor told them they couldn't have kids, and they had this child. So they was calling me the miracle baby.
Right.
So at a young age, I had this expectation to be something. But on the flip side, you know, my father divorced. You know, the place I was at church, the place I was at, it was a lot of. It showed me the darker side of what religion, not just religion, but just organized group think. I seen the dark side of it. So on
Mm-hmm.
one hand, I had these expectations on me, but it wasn't cultivated by anybody. So I had to literally find who I was on my own. And through the grace of God, it was a book I read that I don't want to name, but it was the book I read at the church that led me to just looking at things totally different. So the way the universe works is the place that kind of brought me a lot of confusion actually brought me to where I'm at today. So there was always an expectation on me. There was always people that they always just felt like, oh, you're gonna be all right, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be, but I wasn't all right. You know what I'm saying? I had to go through things, I had to go through trials and tribulations to really rediscover that you are who you always thought you was, and you never needed anyone's approval. You never needed anybody. I mean, you want to be humble, but you sometimes growing up in the inner city, you feel like you need this one's approval. You need your moms, you need your uncles, and sometimes you just got to take certain journeys alone. So it took a long time for me to get here. It kind of happened happenstancely, but I've always had this expectation on me since I was a baby, but I never had an actual process to bring it out. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
really just learn by trial and error to really know who I am and understand everybody has a story, whether it be through numerology, whether it be through astrology, whether it be through religion. The whole story of life is you. And that's what people don't realize. You got to unlock the mythology of who you are. There's certain synchronicities that in your life you're not paying attention to. Everything that's down here is to give you anything that's giving you an insight on who you are and who people are around you. You should never discount that. I don't care what it's called. I don't care who wrote it. Take that in, because it's a story in you. It's like back in the day when you'll see movies like when we was little, it was a movie called The Never Ending Story, where the little boy is reading a story about about this kingdom that's fallen. And then when he got to the end of the story, he realized the main character was him. I'm a co-star in your movie right now. You're a co-star in my movie right now. So we so busy trying to unlock the unseen that we don't realize the mythology of who we are. When you unlock that, you tap into a whole nother level.